Cynthia Erivo, welcome to Q.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you very much.
I want to talk about your incredible portrayal of Harriet Tubman, but before that, outside of any research or preparation you had to do for this role, long before, we're talking like 5, 10, 15 years ago, who was Harriet Tubman in your imagination?
Harriet Tubman in my imagination was this woman who had achieved the most amazing things, saved people's lives, and essentially was kind of like a superhero to me. That's as much as we had learned at school. We knew that this woman had brought enslaved people to freedom, but we didn't really learn very much else about her. So that's what I knew about 10, 15 years ago. Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit of the contrast that I found so remarkable in this film, of who she is at the beginning of the film and who she is at the end of the film.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first scene. Harriet is, she has a different name.
Yeah.
She's embracing her husband at the time, about to be. Tell us a little bit about that early scene.
Yeah. We learn about this woman who is a young girl who is in love and hopeful that she can get married, have her children in freedom, because that's what should have happened. And there's still joy and happiness there. Although she's not in the best of places, she's with her family, she's with the man she loves, and that's where we start. And what happens is we move very quickly into watching her lose people, lose them bit by bit, and I think that's what informs her growth towards the end. By the time we meet her and she's come back again the second time, she then loses her husband, and after that she loses her sister, and has to run from her father and her mother, who I think she then is able to get back. But you're watching her have to reconfigure consistently because of the loss that she is suffering, which is what is informing the growth and the decisions and the way she even looks towards the end.
And that love story at the very beginning, so something I hadn't even, like yourself, I had just kind of known the story of bravery of Harriet Tubman. Yeah. It was really something that really informed her journey along the way. For me,
yes. Right? I think because what people don't realize, I don't think, is that she started this journey because of love. She didn't just decide one day to save people. She came back to save her husband. And when that didn't work, she had to make a decision about what to do next. And the pain of that, the loss of that, the feeling of betrayal, the feeling of hurt had to be reshaped, I guess, in a way for her, to then make the decision to use this chance now and here to bring others to freedom.
I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Harriet Tubman in this film, my producer Baze and I were talking about this the other day, as soon as we left, she's like an action hero.
Yeah.
She's like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She's, and
she was.
We were saying rightfully so. Like, why isn't there a film where Harriet Tubman is a badass?
Yeah.
So what does it mean for you to be the person delivering that depiction of Harriet Tubman?
It means a lot. It means a lot because we don't see that a lot of women of color. We don't see that a lot at all, and it's real. That's the thing. It's real. If you think about what she did before she went back to save people on her own, I think around the age of 25, she was traveling across states, 100 miles in total, by herself. That is not even a mean feat. That is near impossible, I would say. And I think that for me to be able to be the vessel in which that story is told is a huge honor.
She was armed.
Yeah,
she was. She was she was a tough.
Yeah, she was.
Gun-toting.
Did not take anything. Nothing lying down for her. No, she was strong.
I guess it made me wonder, like, why we haven't seen depictions like this of Harriet Tubman before.
We've spoken about this, and I think for myself and Casey, we both believe that people have tried. There have been many attempts, and very valiant attempts, but maybe because I believe that Harriet is steering her own ship, maybe she wasn't ready. Maybe she wasn't ready for her story to be told, but she's ready now. In the time and the place that we are right now in the world, it's sort of perfect timing, and I guess she was ready for it to be told.
What kind of research preparation went into doing this role?
everything from reading to, for me, it started with looking at her image, because I always believe that a person's body tells you a lot about them, the way they hold themselves, where they hold their tension.
I just immediately got very self-conscious.
Yeah, it's true though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
you
what
can
you mean.
tell
Yeah,
how just maybe in that moment what a person might be feeling.
Yeah.
And with that, I wanted to find out how I would present her, and how that progression, because you see pictures from further on in her life. So how do we get to that from where we are? And then with Casey did a lot of research. We sat and had a lot of conversations, long conversations, about who she was and what we were trying to achieve with the story, what we were trying to bring out. Talking about the love that she had, we had to discover that the family, how she was with her family, what she did for her family, and we talked about her voice even, because we knew we were going to be using some singing, and we wanted to make sure that we placed it in the right place. So we would talk about whether or not she had a high speaking voice, a high singing voice, and that, for me, I'm a soprano, and I didn't believe that was right. So I felt like she might have her voice might come from like her solar plexus and her gut, so it felt lower than that, almost alto, I would say. We just talked through all of those things, the way she would hold her face. When would she smile? Does she smile? Is it ever a teethy grin? If it is, who would it be for?
And were these assumptions? Were these?
Some were assumptions. Some were based on the things that we'd learned about her. We know that most of the pictures that we see, she isn't smiling.
Yeah.
And that comes from something. But we know that with those people who never smile, they have smiles reserved for specific people. Usually, they give smiles to those who they trust. And with us, we decided, I guess, that the smile would be reserved for John. And then after that, you rarely see it again. And then towards the end, you see it just fleetingly at the end, because now we've moved from where we were to where we are.
I should point out the case you're referring to is Casey Lemon's the director. I did hear a story, and I don't mean to be glib about this, but it seems surprising, especially for an actor, that there were moments when you were making this film that you got so deeply into your depiction of Harriet Tubman that you realized you hadn't looked in a mirror, you hadn't looked at yourself.
I didn't really at all for the whole thing. It was my Belinda, my hair lady. The hairstylist on us. She said, you haven't asked me for a mirror. I don't carry one around anymore, because you don't ask for it. And I didn't realize that.
Is that meaningful?
It is. It means a lot to me. It means a lot that she even noticed that. But I think I was not worried about what I looked like, because it was not me that I was trying to portray. So it didn't matter to me. And I trusted the people around me implicitly to do their jobs so that I could do mine. It wasn't something I was thinking about. I knew that they would take care of me the way that I needed to be taken care of. So I didn't ask for it because I didn't need it.
I don't want to talk about the whole controversy thing that happened when you got cast. There was some like chatter online, which I never know how much to pay attention to about you being a non-African American woman, a British woman of Nigerian origin. But I do want to know this, like, how do you approach it then as a non-American telling, which is in some ways a very American story?
I approach it like an actor, a black woman who is telling a story about another black woman that she loves. My job as an actor is to be as fulfilling of the story and as truthful as I possibly can be, to do the work, to do the research for it, which I did. I chose to put myself through the difficulties that needed to happen in order to make this happen. I chose to do my own stunts because I didn't feel like the connection would be made if I didn't. I chose to get on this project, which was going to be filmed in the middle of winter in Richmond, Virginia, in the forest. I chose all those things because I knew what was necessary to make this role and make this film what it needs to be, and hopefully is. So that's all I can say. For me, my Britishness has nothing to do with this piece particularly, because it's not informative.
And again, I don't really pay. Without being someone who's going around and giving a boot to light poles. I try to avoid that
Yeah.
stuff as much as I can.
I mean, I understand where it comes from. I understand that, we don't see very many of these incredible roles for women of color at all. We don't.
Yeah.
And so there is going to be a panic when something this wonderful comes along, and it'll feel like when someone has the role, it's been taken almost. But I don't believe that Casey or the producers or everyone involved in this put me in that position lightly. I don't think it was an easy decision to put me there. Otherwise, what is to be gained from it? The fact of the matter, for me, I'm the least important thing in the storytelling because the story is not about me at all. It's about Harriet. Really, my Englishness is neither here nor there.
Even though this film isn't about you, I still want to talk about you a little tiny
Yes.
bit. Can you put your headphones on?
Yes.
They're over there. So I want to acknowledge that you're just an O away from joining the EGOT club. Do you want to hit that, Brittany?
I'm gonna. Okay.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
A deep breath. Gonna hold my head up.
I just like torturing you by making you listen to yourself.
My shoulders back and look you straight in the eye. I'm gonna flirt
You won a
with
Tony and Emmy. You can take them
someone
off if you want. You won a Tony and Emmy and a Grammy for your role in the 2015 Broadway production of The Color Purple. So that's you singing I'm Here from that production. I read that your mom knew you could sing when you were 2.
Yes.
And she had every idea. She had every idea that this was all going to happen.
Yeah.
That you were,
She seemed to know before I did, that's for sure.
is that so?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's something about her. And she was never pushy.
Yeah.
She was never, she was not a stage mum. She was not one of the women that forced me into drama school or forced me into anything extra. Nothing like that. She just seemed to know. She wrote in a baby book that she thought I was going to be a singer and an actress because I was humming when I ate.
Oh, yeah.
So I hummed when she was like, oh.
I used to hum when I chewed too.
Yeah.
I would eat my dinner and go,
She was like, okay, yeah, great.
My
That's what
mom,
she's gonna
my
be.
mom went, stop doing that.
Yeah, she didn't really ever. I think she just
no,
was
she
like,
didn't either.
oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Okay. And then at one point it changed to being I think it's an actress and a doctor. Never just one or the other.
No.
I think she thought I think my mother has always believed that I can achieve absolutely anything and multiple things at the same time, just because of how she is, how determined she is to get things done and to do things that she wants to do. And I think she's just instilled that in me. So there's no limit from her upon me at all. I think she's only ever encouraged everything.
And she's still with us?
Yeah, she's still with us. I spoke to her this morning just because she wanted to say hi. That was it.
Can I ask what her name is?
Edith.
Edith.
Yeah,
And she must be very proud.
she is very proud.
I'm
yeah.
glad. Can I ask a question about acting, stage versus film?
Yes.
Because I have to imagine that when you're on stage, I know this from being on stage.
Yeah.
You're going to get feedback from the audience,
Yes,
whether you pay attention to it or not. Every 5 minutes,
Yep.
10 minutes.
Yep.
On a film, you're talking weeks, if not months,
Yeah.
with no feedback to know how you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you get used to that?
I don't know. I think I'm starting to get used to it. There's something wonderful about having the live interaction that you get from stage, but also you kind of have to just trust that whoever is working with you, your director, the editor, has your best interests at heart as well as the film, and you have to like relinquish the control.
But it is something you noticed.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
definitely. But I'm lucky because I get to feed myself with both. So if I do a concert, I can like re-up the need for it, the enjoyment of it, and then go back to the film and I'll be fine.
I guess that must have been a challenge too, because I always feel like the human voice is not something like it's easy to impersonate. I feel like when
Yeah.
we sing, we're really who we really are.
Yes,
You know,
correct.
if I can get all,
Yeah.
it's because it's something very deep
It's
and,
deep.
and,
It's
and something
within
very
us, yeah.
soulful, right? So I have to imagine it must have been a challenge to have this voice that you've trained, this voice that has obviously served you very, very well, and,
Yeah.
and a voice that's very you, and then have to bring that voice to someone else,
Yeah.
to Harriet Tubman,
Yeah.
whose voice was not just an entertaining voice, whose
Yeah.
voice was, well, you I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Harriet Tubman's relationship with music, and then if you can, talk to me a little bit about how you have to sing like her and not like you.
Yeah. So Harriet would use spirituals to communicate. The music that she sang, the music that she gave was to warn people that she was leaving, tell people that she was coming, and essentially communicate without danger, to let people know that it was time to go. And
Songs like Wade in the Water.
yeah,
Songs like, yeah, right.
yeah. And Casey and I had discussed that, even though they were singing, I didn't want it to sound like me. I didn't want it to feel that way. So we had to find the placement for it. Where would it live in my voice? And so there's something wonderful about trying to discover a different voice in yourself.
Was it a challenge?
Yes and no. I know my voice implicitly. It's it's like my right hand. But I always relish the idea of searching for something different in it, and that was what this was. It was like another exploration of where I can go with my own voice, how I can lend that to someone else's and make it different.
When I was watching the film, I had this, I'm not a cynical person, but I had this thought at the end of it, and I was talking again to our producer about this, is that it feels like a happy ending. Given that it's a historical record, I think I can spoil some things, but Harriet Tubman, she survives, she
does.
ends up fighting in the Civil War,
Yes.
one of the very few women to lead the armed battalion of the Civil War, retires.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going to get easier after that.
No.
For people of color in the United States.
No.
I mean, all I could think was, well, here comes Jim Crow, here comes segregation, here comes what we are still dealing with right now.
It's why it, even at that end when she has that small smile, it's not the end for her. It's not a big joyous laughter. Yes, she's reunited with her family, but there's still work to be done. Clearly, there's still work to be done now.
That's what I was wondering. Were these things going through your mind when you were doing this film? That like this is not the end of any kind of chapter.
Yes.
This is...
Yeah. But I think at that point, how do you know unless you go on to the next day and the next and the next?
Yeah.
That is to say that this woman survived to the age of 91.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a huge achievement. And she achieved a lot, and she was consistently working for the betterment of people everywhere, whether it be when she was, taking care of people or working in the armed battalion. Like, it just never ended for her. That was it. Apparently her purpose on this earth was to be there to help people and give them freedom.
So, I mean, can you inhabit a role like that and not feel personally changed in your like non-acting
I don't think
behavior?
you can.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
What did it do to you?
I don't think you can do something like that and not be changed at all. That would to be completely disconnected, and I just was not. She meant the world to me, and I would wake up and I would ask because I'm a person of faith, so I would pray every morning, and I would ask to have her be brought into the space, to make the space welcoming for her, so that she would be there, because I believe that she was steering the ship, and that it was of her accord. And she's left lots with me. She's left the idea that, a woman small, a woman of color can change the world, even when nobody believes in her, even when people don't believe that is possible. And without the belief of everyone else, she still went on to do that, and continued. I just think it serves as an example to me and to every other woman who, might not see their purpose on this earth as worth. And it's worth a lot if we find it and stand strong within it.
Do you have the stamp?
I don't have the stamp. I'm going to get the stamp. A friend of mine has got one for me.
I guess we should say what the stamp is.
Yes, it's Harriet Tubman's face.
She was supposed to be on the 20.
Yep.
But due to administrative delays.
We'll call them delays because it's going to happen.
Harriet Tubman is not currently on the $20 bill in the U.S., so there's a stamp that's going around.
There is a stamp that is
where
going
you
around
can
where you can
stamp
stamp
onto
your
the 20
$20
and
yeah.
put it there. So
and people are taking that money. So people are not rejecting it. They're not saying it's being defaced. They're just, okay. Which I absolutely adore. I think it's necessary and it's time.
and I'm glad you have one.
Thanks.
You'll be using it.
I will be.
Congratulations.
Very much so.
Congratulations on the film. It's been so nice to talk
Thank
to you.
you.
Thank you so
too.
much.
Thank you.